I'm Gab, he's Jules. Grey skies over West London, but we're here to brighten things up.
Of course.
And Jules looking especially bright because, second time lucky, Paris Saint Germain are champions of the world or Intercontinental. This is all kind of confusing.
Yeah, the real ones.
All right.
I'm kidding, Chelsea fans.
A capsule review here. FIFA held a Club World Cup where they invited, which they say they're going to hold every 4 years, where they invited top teams from every confederation. And Chelsea won that back in July. But of course, before there was another FIFA Club World Cup, which has now been called the Intercontinental Cup, which is what it was called many, many years ago when it was just the champions of Europe and South America. I guess they must have a long-term contract with Qatar.
Yeah, maybe.
So they all flew to, well, all fly to Qatar. Paris Saint Germain advanced straight to the final for some ranking reasons I don't fully understand. And they played Flamengo.
That's right.
And it was a tight game, Jules.
Yeah,
1-1 at the end of regular time, and then penalties.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Flamengo, a very good team. They've got Filipe Luis, who's a young, very, very bright, highly rated manager, and rightly so. They've got a lot of players who used to play in Europe before, whether they are Brazilian, who went back to Brazil, whether they non-Brazilian, like Saul Niguez, for example. If you wonder where Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid is, where he's gone, he's there, for example. He came off the bench in the final on Wednesday night. It was not a particularly good game, let's be honest here. PSG were not good. They were very sloppy. They gave away quite a silly penalty that could have been easily avoided. They were not very good going forward either in terms of being sharp and efficient, although they opened the scoring. But it was 1-1. It finished 1-1 after normal time, after extra time. So then we went to penalties.
Yeah, and in penalties, Marat Safanov, the magic man bun. I love to make fun of this guy. I have to say he did something which, from what I remember, in international finals, at least we're talking about this before, I've only seen once before, and it's the stuff of legend. He saved 4 penalties. The guy before who did it, we both remember him. I mean, I think you were in diapers when it happened.
I was 6 years old.
Helmut Dukadam.
Yes.
In that legendary Steaua Bucharest team. And then Dukadam has an incredible personal story that followed. I invite you all to do some Googling about him because it's pretty amazing. It's worth it. But it was a different world back then.
Yeah.
In terms of the game itself, Luis Enrique had played the scrubs at the weekend. Still Dembele and Speedy Barcola coming off the bench, maybe not 100%. Maybe wanted to reward Mayulu, who I thought did fine. It's funny with Flamengo, though, because I thought they held the pitch really well. You mentioned Filipe Luis. I was struck by the fact with older players like Bulgar and Jorginho, so you figure you want to play a possession game, but you can't really do that so well against Paris Saint Germain. So they got the front four to press pretty high up the pitch.
Yeah,
it worked for a while, and then obviously the penalty changed it. But I think and then obviously in extra time there was the miss from Marquinhos, which could have changed it, could have made up for the penalty it gave away. But we're gonna get back to the game later. But on Paris Saint Germain, the other big story is a court has ordered Paris Saint Germain to pay Kylian Mbappe 70 million euros.
60 million euros.
60 million euros. Yeah. Sorry. This goes back to when they just stopped paying him for 3 months and stopped giving him his bonuses because they were unhappy over this 2+1 nonsense.
Yeah, they didn't want him to leave on a free. They had a meeting. Apparently, Mbappe told the club that he would not leave on a free, and to do that, he would waive off some of his bonuses. But there was nothing written, no contract, nothing. So it was one word against the other. And I think they had to pay what was owed to Kylian in the contract that he had signed, that they had signed 2 years before. So there was just...
Okay. It's done. They said they reserve the right to appeal. I don't think they will appeal because if they do appeal, they're going to lose again.
I don't think they will appeal.
This is the part I don't get. I want to get your take on this because obviously they get advice from lawyers. You know my thoughts on lawyers. But when you have no contract, you just have he said, she said, oh, but you told us. Yeah. When you sign this contract that you present as 2+1, but isn't really 2+1 because there's no written option for the third year.
Oh, no, there was an option, but it was him triggering.
No, but it's not in the favor of the club, right? So it's not like
it was just him, right? Yeah.
How do you think you can win? Why would you take on one of the most popular footballers in the world?
No, I think they were hoping to have to pay less. So maybe 40, maybe half of it, maybe 30,
they could
35.
Settle somehow.
Yeah, find a settlement somewhere. They didn't. I don't think Kylian was ready to do that anyway. He wanted all the money. He got all the money.
Yeah. I think contracts matter. I think it also shows you that you can't bully your way. Surely not against somebody like Kylian Mbappe. He's pretty good lawyers as well. But we're going to break down Paris Saint Germain further on the Gavin Jones podcast. All right, Jules. Let's put some more context in this for people who like counting trophies, and I generally don't because I think, okay, the European Super Cup, whatever. These are kind of fugazi trophies. But I think it does put you in some historical context in this case. 6 trophies in a single year. And again, would have been 7 if not for that Club World Cup final where in Somaresca, they flattened them 3-0.
Yeah.
Only 2 teams have won, and one isn't actually all in the same calendar year. One of them, Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, which, is kind of like next level.
Yeah, 09, yeah.
And the other one was Bayern with Hansi Flick. By a quirk of the calendar, it was moved over to 2021.
Yes, so 2020 for 5, and then the 6th one in 2021.
That was also COVID, different vibe about it. In terms of the Paris Saint Germain universe, are fans saying, yeah, this is actually a really, really big deal. This matters? Is it like, or it's a question of, well, it's nice, but we see through it? Because we live in England, and there's massive cynicism for historical reasons in the small island about any kind of FIFA-related trophy that's not the World Cup, right? Well, what's the vibe there?
No. I think it's been seen as very, very important. I think the club made history, like domestically to start with. In France, nobody had ever played. Marseille could not play their Intercontinental Cup final at the time when they won the Champions League because of the Barbary scandal and everything. So no French team had ever been in it, so let alone winning it. So for PSG to win that, to go and win 6 trophies, like you said, Gabi, it's only the 3rd time in history. So it's not something that even the greatest teams have done before. So I think they took a lot of pride of that. They also have the Ballon d'Or winner, the African Ballon d'Or winner, and the Asian Ballon d'Or winner in their squads. It's been an incredible season. They've won more games than anybody else. They've played more games than anybody else as well, but they also won more games than anybody else. They played every single game possible in that calendar year, including the final of the Club World Cup, the only one that they lost, really. But it's just been an incredible year that I think will stay forever in the history of football, certainly from a French and Parisian point of view.
Yeah, it strikes me that like more than one thing can be true. I rail on endlessly about just the massive imbalance of resources that exist, not just with nouveau riche clubs and the funding from Qatar or whatever, but also with the established giant, whether it's Barcelona, Manchester United. But I think of it like, to get all biblical on you, the parable of the talents, where, like well, you can look it up, but basically I think it's a father gives his son certain amounts of gold, and then it comes down to what you do with it.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that, and I'm sure Paris Saint Germain is really unpopular with a lot of fan bases in France for many reasons.
Yeah.
You can't take away the fact that with the talents that they were given, which is more than anybody else, they absolutely got squeezed as much as they could out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and for many years also the project didn't work. It took a long time to finally find the right winning formula. And I think they would have been happy with just 1 Champions League plus a domestic title or 2. So to have 6 and almost 7, because they also went all the way to that Club World Cup final, and Chelsea were the better team on the day of that final. There's no doubt, but you still went all the way to the final. Again, you reached every final, and you played every single game that a season had to offer for you, which in itself is quite remarkable, I think. So I don't know I don't know who's going to do it next. I don't know if it will be done again, certainly by PSG or by another club. In 4 years' time, somebody obviously would have the chance to go for 7, which nobody had ever done before.
Although maybe the Intercontinental nonsense
will be gone by then. That's true. You're right. Because this season, obviously, you could have won both and be twice world champions, I guess, which is a bit strange. But anyway, so we see. I just think Luis Enrique obviously deserves a lot of credit, and I think Filipe Luis said it yesterday very well after the game or before the game, even on like this is the most beautiful things he's created in his career. And I know the 2015 Barca treble team was great, and you had Messi and Neymar and Suarez and all of that. But I think this must feel like different for him to have built this. There was 3 teenagers in that team yesterday at some point that won the final. There were 3 of them in the Champions League final as well. The way they've gone, certainly for the first half of 2025, what he did with Dembele, what he did just in terms of tactics and everything is just incredible.
It's interesting to use the word beautiful. I think, it's my view. You can disagree if you want, but like, if we're comparing Luis Enrique's treble winners with his team, I would say that team, to me, is a more talented team and is a more mature team. With this team, given, as you said, the fact that I assume John Neves will continue to get better. Desiree Doué is not anywhere near his ceiling. So many of these guys you feel can continue to grow if they stick around. Whereas 2015, that felt like, they still went on. Messi obviously still playing today, but as is Luis Suarez, funnily enough, as is Neymar in theory.
Yeah.
But, that team was a team that had been together, had won. They knew each other inside out. Obviously, Luis Enrique, I think it was his first season taking over from Tito, if I remember, or maybe his second. But like, they were within a scheme that had been laid out by Pep. That was a team coming to fruition. Whereas this is a team where you figure they can get better. They can even get better.
Yeah. But even to get to this point with this team, I don't think that was a given at all. It was the Barca 15.
That was a better team, you agree with me?
Yeah, but if you have Xavi, Messi, Busquets, Iniesta, Suarez, and Neymar, so when you already have the core and then you add the best Brazilian at the time, one of the best strikers in Europe at the time from Liverpool, obviously your team is going to be better than having Barcola, Doué, Dembele, etc., etc. So I think to get this team where he did, considering that the beginnings were difficult, and he got heavily criticized, and I think rightly so at the time. But to see that evolution, whereas for the 15 team, it was a great team with the best players in the world straight away,
right?
Which was not the case in this one.
And a lot of those guys had obviously won the treble 5 years earlier, 4 years earlier, even under Pep Guardiola. Just pitch-wise, the Safonov situation, like when he came over, naturally, it bugged me that Paris Saint Germain acquired him. They thought there's supposed to be sanctions. I never got a straight answer as to how this was able to happen, how they were able to send money to Russia when they're under sanction. I didn't like the fact that he was there. I didn't like his man bun. I think he looks weird. But he certainly did he sees his chance. He played at the weekend, and I assumed Chevalier would be back. Do you think there's a legitimate? Are they legitimately competing for the job after today?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the question was asked even before the game on Wednesday, before the final, because he'd been really good this time, which hadn't been the case, for example, last season when he replaced Donnarumma at some point and had a chance to show what he could do and to impress in a way, and didn't take it. This time he took it really, really well. The club still said that Chevalier was not fully fit, or certainly fit enough after the ankle injury to play a game like this. Maybe it was that. Maybe Luis Enrique just fancied Safonov a bit more. I don't know. But for now, I don't know how you can take him out of the team. I mean, at the weekend they're playing the French Cup against a team from the 7th division. So Chevalier might come back for that. He might even play Marin, the young kid who arrived from Italy in the summer. It doesn't matter so much. The more interesting thing is what is going to happen after the winter break. But it's hard to take Safonov out of the team now, considering how well he's done, especially in the final, in the shootout. Before that, he really had nothing to do. So it's strange. I mean, what's quite funny is that PSG won 3 finals in 2025 with 3 different goalkeepers. They won 3 penalty shootouts with 3 different goalkeepers. On top of the fact that, obviously, as we said, he saved 4 of the 5 penalties, which is quite incredible in itself. So, I don't know. What was funny is the only 2 players not to celebrate and not to run on him after he won the shootout were Chevalier, obviously, and Ilya Zabarny, who's being Ukrainian, has already mentioned many times that he's not happy that there's a Russian player in the same squad as him. So it's not an easy situation, I think, even from a club point of view to navigate. But he was definitely the hero
on the Zabarny thing. I think it's interesting, right? It's not the first time it's happened in different clubs where you've got Russian and Ukrainian players together. And I don't know if Safonov has made, I'm assuming he hasn't made any, and obviously there's some Russian players who have distanced themselves.
Yeah.
Others have not. And there's also some Ukrainians who've been very vocal, and others have not. But certainly Zabarni's somebody who's been vocal.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Do we think that came up when he signed for Paris Saint Germain and they had a conversation? And I'm assuming he was told, look, you're a professional. Here's a contract. Take it or don't take it. He's a professional like you.
No, I think he
this
voiced
isn't about
it.
politics. You're at work.
Yeah, the club is very much aware of it. I mean, in the Metz game, maybe, Zabarni didn't play, which was a bit surprising. Apparently, he was ill. But there was also those rumors that he didn't play because he didn't want to play and start that game and play that game with Safonov behind him in goal, which I think Zabarni's wife put a message with a bit of insinuation later on social media around that. So I don't know exactly what was the reason why Zabarni didn't play that game where he was supposed to play. It might have been because he didn't want to share the pitch with Safonov. It might have been another reason. I don't know. But yeah, it's just not an easy situation.
All right. I mean, we are talking about the reserve center back for now anyway, as long as Marquinhos is around, and possibly the reserve keeper.
Sure.
So it's not a Vitinha, Dembele situation.
No, absolutely not.
But is this something that can continue to? Because I'm assuming Safonov says nothing. I'm assuming he's a mute, like most Russians abroad.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard his voice yet.
There you go. Final word on Flamengo. I watched him in person Club World Cup. I was really impressed. I know I'll go back to Filipe Luis again. Just a broader point. Brazilian coaches, historically, if you look at their success in Europe, many different reasons, high turnover in coaching in Brazil, whatever. They certainly have punched nowhere near their weight, certainly not compared to actual footballers. Does Filipe Luis, does this strike you as somebody who could be a little different, somebody who could be exported?
Yeah, I think this is his club, the club he supported as a kid that we played for. So I think he might stay another year or two, maybe even. He already refused some offers from Europe, including Fenerbahce in the summer, probably because he wanted, no offense to Fenerbahce, but a bigger club already. I think he's ready for anything, any top clubs in Europe. So it's just a matter of time. They're winning so much at Flamengo right now. There's no need for him to go in a rush. But yeah, in the next 2 years, he will be in one of the big European clubs.
I want to see him at Atletico Madrid one day.
I think everybody does that.
When Cholo Simeone retires. So yeah, Filipe, if you're watching this, see you in 2045.